Assalamu alaikum, and once again welcome to the Finance Forum. I am Abdu-Raof Hanslo. Today in our studio we visited by a seasoned financial advisor and one of the better known financial people of Cape Town, and that being Mr. Osman Capri of Africa First Diversified Financial Services. Today we speak savings and the importance thereof, and the various modules that are available to the public when looking for savings opportunities. Assalamu alaikum to you, Usman.
Wa alaikum salam, Abdu-Raof.
Welcome to our studios, and we hope this is going to be a very beneficial program for our viewers, inshallah.
Inshallah.
Usman, to start out with, what are the challenges facing our community currently when it comes to general savings? Are there specific things that are limiting our community from saving at this present time?
I think that the perception out there is that people generally think that the entry level to start saving is only for the people who have or for the rich, which is not true. There are various ways of savings. There are various amounts that you can start with. The entry level to start saving is not that high. We just need to educate the public out there how we can assist them.
You know, we have this culture of, or at least we had the culture of savings in our community, and I think that has to a certain extent dwindled off. We find that today our elderly mothers and fathers are struggling to live off the old age pensions given by state. Is this perhaps a way of getting our future generations away from the fact of dependence on social grants and incomes from
at least, basically, back to your first question, is that that the perception is that if you want to start saving, you need a serious lot amount of money, or that you need to start an entry level of 500 to 1,000 or 5,000 per month. But there are companies, there are advisors who are able to assist and guide you from a very young age, even as from an infant. And it's funny enough that most people don't know that you can actually start a unit trust investment from as little as 50 Rand per month. And that's the way, and the way to start to inculcate into our people that you can start saving at an early age. And if you're going to go further than that and saying, yeah, but it's expensive, it's debit orders, there are ways and means once you sit down with us for us to show you how to get around that.
Now we know that your practice as Africa First Diversified Financial Services has been around for the last 26 years, I think.
Going for 27 years.
Going on for 27 years. And in the 27 years, I'm sure you must have seen a tremendous amount of people come into your doors, come through your doors to ask for financial advice, specifically when it comes to investments. I think today we're spoiled for choice and spoiled for options as far as investments are concerned. But yet we still find this perception that the investments are not available to us as a community. What advice do you have to our client? What is the most common advice that's given to an investor that sits across your desk?
We're speaking now, we're not doing a complete financial needs analysis, so I'll start from the very bottom. I don't think we'll have enough time. But normally the first thing comes to mind is people speak to us, what about my children, what about my grandchildren? I would start off by saying to them that what do you do with the child's birthday money? What do you do with his Christmas money? What do you do with his Eid money? Do you put it in the cupboard? Do you put it in the safe? Do you go to a bank account and put it in there? I would advise them very differently. I would say start investing it into, there are various unit trust vehicles that one can invest those monies into. As a once-off payment, as a quarterly payment, and as a monthly payment even, and that is where advice comes in. We encourage people to start from the day they are born, that their parents or grandparents, to start saving their money into a unit trust account. We're not saying do not open a bank account for them. Please do by all means, but most of the monies should go into investment vehicles like unit trust.
Now you mentioned briefly the unit trust. Is that the only vehicle available at this time, or what type of vehicles? What vehicles are? Let's rephrase that question. What types of vehicles are available for savings in general?
There are a lot of other types of vehicles. For example, the traditional endowment policies. that you can buy through insurance companies, but that's dwindling away for the following reasons. If you take out an endowment policy or endowment investment, it's a recurring premium for a term of 5 to 7 or 10, even up to 15 years. And circumstances change. We do not know if we're going to have employment the following year. Circumstances change so drastically. Rent goes up, food goes up, the cost of living goes up, and most people find out that they can't meet this monthly premium, and then it involves penalties. Please believe me, there is very much a place for endowments, but we need to look at the person's profile when we sit down with him.
Okay, so you mentioned quite a few options there that we can invest in as a community. Would it be viable to invest in more than one of these options, or would it be advisable to just look at one option within the investment? Let's take unit trust, for example. Do we just look at investing in just unit trust, or do we invest in bank accounts and invest in endowments and so on and so on?
If we sit down with a client, or if I'm going to sit down with you, and I'm going to start asking you a question and do a profile on you, do a needs analysis on you, the biggest fear as a parent that we have is that, yes, I can save money. And this is where I'm going to say the endowment does play a bigger role. I can put money away, and I start putting away 200 or 300 or 500 or 1,000 away for my child or my grandchild. And I managed to put it away for 6 months, which means I've got 6,000 or 6 times the amount I've put away. But what if something happens to me in the event of death or disablement? What's going to happen now? And that's where financial advice comes in, where I'm going to say, and that's where the need for an endowment comes in, where we have specific benefits that we can attach to the endowment, that in the event, if something happens to the parent, in the event of death or disablement, the premium or the contribution will be paid for 10 or 15 years. So please, there is a place for endowment. It depends on if you can afford it at this stage.
So what you're saying is that basically we should be looking at diversifying our portfolios across various spectrums. Which brings me back to the next point I'd like to make, Usman, and that is within a unit trust spectrum. Now, I've been a unit trust investor for quite some time now, and the one thing I notice is that there's various different options just within the one structure of savings itself, and that's unit trust. So within those unit trust structures, what is available to the community out there?
Look, sure, it's vast, but we'll start off by doing a risk analysis on the client and to see what their risk profile is. There are certain types of investors that just don't like losing money. So we need to look at their risk profile, and we need to say, what is the term that you would like to invest? Then you have the balance fund, which is a very cautious fund, which is also Section 828 regulated, which means it can also be used for retirement money. And then you have the more riskier fund, which is the equities. But there we sit down with the client, we do the risk analysis. We would rather say that if you're going to go with the higher risk one, we would prefer that you stay into that fund between 5 and 7 years, if not longer.
Okay. So basically, we have various different classes when it comes to the unit.
That's just 2 classes I mentioned to you, which is the balance fund and the equity fund.
Okay, and then ultimately from there, basically, you mentioned about the risk profile. So each fund has a different risk category, and then basically whichever is suitable to the need. Is that the way I understand correctly? So the needs analysis is done. So you find out what the need of the client is and the risk profile of the client, and from there you decide on where best to place the client.
And the risk analysis helps me profile the client where the money should be invested.
Certainly over time, as an individual, your risk profile changes depending on circumstance. For example, me being in finance for a while, we do realize that when I get married, my risk profile is I can take a little bit more risk. I have no kids. I don't have
that is true.
And things. But as time goes on, a child is born, a parent gets ill, or wife gets ill, or you pick up a chronic illness. So it means all those things impact on the risk profile. So when this does occur, How easy is it to switch your portfolio to adapt to the risk profile within the unit trust?
It's actually very easy. You pick up the phone, there's a form that you sign that you say that you'd like to switch. We sit down, we discuss it. You sign the form and it can get switched to a safer fund, or to, even if you want more exposure, you want quicker money, then we put you into a higher category of risk. So it is extremely easy. Yes, you can switch funds.
Okay. So I think also when it comes to risk, we have this undying perception that when one is very young, your risk profile is very high. And when one is older, that your risk appetite and your risk profile is very low. Does this normally work that way, or do you find scenarios, in rephrasing that question in another way, do we find scenarios whereby a young client would have a low risk appetite and an older client would have a higher risk appetite?
Very seldom. It's the other way around. If I am 20, 25 years old and I'm going to invest for the long term, I've got more time in the event if the markets goes down. So I've got more time to hang in there and wait for the markets to grow again. But if I'm 5 to 10 or 15 years away from retirement, we need to be very cautious, because if I'm 5 to 10 years away from retirement, I can't afford a 10 to 15 or 20% slump in my investment. So I've got to then change over to a more cautious fund. It's very important to understand that the older we get, we've got to be more safety conscious, and we've got to make sure that where our money is invested is not extremely high risk.
That's understood. And then coming to the next question that we have for you, Usman, can anyone invest in a unit trust?
Anyone can invest in a unit trust, that is true. It doesn't matter who you are, color, creed, religion. Anyone can start from as little as 50 Rand per month. That sounds so untrue in the times that we are today. But yes, anyone can start investing, and we highly encourage them, just start investing.
And when it comes to infant children, if I had a new baby and I'd like to open a savings that would be beneficial to that child going down the line in the future, could I possibly open an account for a 2-week-old baby, for example?
Yes, you can. We encourage that. There is many ways that you can do it. We seriously highly encourage that the moment that child gets birthday money or certain kinds of gifts that is worth any monetary value, we encourage the parent to put it into a unit trust savings. You can do it 1, 2, or 3 ways. You can either do a once-off deposit for the child, or you can have it going a once-off deposit with a monthly debit order running. Or we look at your risk profile and we say, look, I'm only going to be able to put away 50 Rand for my child every month. I would like to do a 6 monthly EFT, which means that I've now saved up 600 Rand. May I take that 600 Rand and add it to my child's investment? Yes, you may even do that. So it doesn't have to be a monthly debit order.
You're watching the Finance Forum on Deen TV. I am Abdu-Raof Hanslo, and in studio we have Osman Capri of Africa First Diversified Financial Services. We're off to pay the bills. We'll be back shortly. Stay tuned. Welcome back. You watching the Finance Forum with myself, Abdu-Raof Hanslo, and in studio with me today is Osman Capri of Africa First Diversified Financial Services. We're speaking savings and the importance thereof. And just before the break, we gave a nice view and summary of exactly what the community should be looking at when deciding on investing in savings modules. Running from there to you, Usman, we spoke about a lot before the break, and we spoke about various different savings mechanisms and savings tools that's available to our community. The one question that I have is it's one thing to invest, but how do we know how long we should invest for? So in other words, what term should one be looking at investing when looking at a unit trust investment?
We're looking at 3 that we're not too happy with. 5 to 7 years is brilliant. 7 years is the better option, and even longer. To To answer that for now, because I'm not sitting with a client and I'm not doing their profile, I don't know why they want to invest, for what. There's got to be reasons behind it, but I would say 5 to 7 years. Yes.
5 to 7 years. So would we say that that is a medium to long?
Medium to long term.
Medium to long term. So when saying 5 to 7 years, could one invest for longer than 7 years?
Definitely. We would highly encourage it.
Okay. And in this period, as it suggested that any unit trust investment should be 5 to 7 years and above, are there any guarantees on performance and on the capital itself? Do we expect the money to stay where it is? Do we expect a certain amount of returns in guarantees?
No guarantees, but there are a few or certain investment houses that have actually doubled most investors' money over the last 10 years, if not more than double, but there's absolutely no guarantees.
And touching on that 10 years, so ultimately we know what cash has given in banks. I mean, if I place my money in a bank account, I'm going to probably get 6% in interest on that account per year. Over a 10-year period, that doesn't give me much in a return. In a unit trust investment.
Well, there are certain unit trust investment that has given our clients over 100% return over the past 10 years.
And I think that's spectacular. I mean, that's absolutely brilliant. I mean, if we look at, so what you're saying, if I invested 100,000 Rand in, let's say, as early as 2006, today I could have very possibly have in excess of 200,000 Rand. Well, that's something to definitely look at when investing.
And if and we're going to once again say that there is no short term to turning your money around or to making money. You've got to sit in there we highly encourage 3 years up. We would like you to leave your money there for 5 to 7, if not 10 years.
Okay, being a financial advisor in our community here in Cape Town for the last 26 to 27 years, we realize that there's, I've realized there's definitely a need for financial advice. Could you reiterate that from Africa First side, Usman, and tell us exactly when choosing an investment fund, a unit trust investment fund, the important role that the financial advisor or financial planner plays in making that decision?
We got to sit down with a client, and it really takes time, and we got to take a view of his full lifestyle. It really takes a lot of time. We really got to do a full needs analysis on him. When does his children need the money? What happens if something happens to the breadwinner? We really got to take a holistic view at the whole scenario. It's not that easy. We really need a lot of information from our clients, where we sit down and we say, we really need to look at your risk profile. What happens if the breadwinner is not there? What happens in the event of an emergency? You off ill. We got to look at the medical aid. We got to look at the children's schooling. So it's really a lot to do with financial planning. Yes, there is a need. They do need a qualified financial advisor, or I would say certified financial planner. But Abdu-Raof, it's really intense, and there is really a need for it.
Okay, so the financial advisor's role is number one, firstly, making sure that the investment is placed in the right direction for the client. Down the line, during the life of the investment, is there any role that the financial advisor plays during the investment, while it's running and while the client is still invested?
Definitely is. Normally, we would look at how the funds are performing. It is part of what we do. We do then try and pick up the phone, or the client get a quarterly statement. In the event of a fund not performing too well, we start speaking to the asset managers where the funds are placed, and then either we start moving the funds slowly, or we start switching the funds internally. Yes, it's important for us going forward to stay in touch with our clients. Circumstances change. The exposure becomes lower, or the exposure becomes higher. They pay off their bonds faster. There's a lot that we can do for them if we work together down the line.
And then I think that brings me to my next question is, we find walking into some of the major asset managers or investment managers that they have a sales desk in their companies where they sell these their own company products directly to the public. But ultimately they just sell one product.
Correct.
So the difference, could you highlight the difference between a independent financial advisor and a sales consultant linked to a financial services house?
If I had to work for a specific company and a client walks in by the front door, I'm only going to be able to offer them that specific product. Whereas if they come to a certified financial advisor who is basically working on their own, we can almost go to any company and find the best product that suits the client. So we're not forced to sell a specific product to our client.
And then when one needs to, we realize that nothing is set in stone. So ultimately there's going to be a time when we're going to require part of our investment or even the entire investment. How quickly is this money available to you once you try and divest or redeem the money back from the investment?
I can actually ask you that in 2 ticks, it's 4 working days. What happens is the client picks up the phone, but normal circumstances we prefer they phone us. It's a one-pager where they say we need 5,000, 10,000, 20,000 rand. They sign a one-pager, email it back to us, and then we send it off to the asset management company, and within 4 working days all the funds will be in the client's account that they wanted to withdraw.
And just briefly, Osman, as far as tax implications are concerned when redeeming the money, are there any tax implications?
Absolutely no tax. There's no tax implication at all.
Okay. You know, where we find ourselves today is in tough economic times. And due to that, we find ourselves in constant pressure as far as incomes are concerned, as far as living expenses are concerned, and we see the rise in unemployment. Why in this current time is saving so important?
It's twofold that certain people think that savings is a vehicle to invest. I would say savings and investing one's money are 2 complete separate issues. It is important to save, I would say, especially in today's environment. Savings could be that I'm saving up in the event if there's an emergency. My car could break down. I need 4 tires. There's a medical emergency that my medical aid don't cover. There's a family member that needs medical attention that can't afford. There's a death in the family in overseas that I need to attend to. We need savings accounts so that we can tap into those savings accounts to attend to these things. There's an emergency funeral in Johannesburg. I can't afford to fly down. So savings is extremely important. I would encourage anybody to save, but there are 2 kinds of savings. Please, savings and investing. Do not confuse investment with savings. Savings is there for emergencies.
Osman, in conclusion, when ultimately does one withdraw your entire investment?
That's a brilliant question. First of all, I've saved for 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 years. Why would I want to withdraw all my money? It doesn't make sense to me. Why can't you just withdraw what you need? Take out what you need, leave the other money there and let it grow. I do not see the sense of saving or investing in this case, of investing my money. I come to a stage in life where I'm not working anymore. I'm retired, I've got my income, I've got my investments. Only withdraw what you need. I do not see the necessity of you taking out all your money. And if you've got 2 more seconds, Abdu-Raof, it's very, very important for people to know out there the following. If you've got 2 more seconds, if I buy a property of R1 million today, and next year it escalates to 1.2 million rand, and I'm ecstatic. The following year the property drops to 700,000 rand, and I make you offer to buy your property for 700,000 rand. Abdu-Raof, will you sell it to me for 700,000? You won't. Now, why do people, when they invest, when the investment drops a little bit, or it drops by 10 or 15%, why would you want to sell it? Sit it out, it will grow like a property.
You've been watching the Finance Forum, and we thank our guest Osman Capri from Africa First Diversified Financial Services to take us through today on savings and general investments available. You've been watching myself, Abdu-Raof Hanslo, for the Finance Forum on Deen TV. We'll see you next time. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.